Hi everybody, in this video we're going to talk about the Giant Anthem 2.9er. This is the Giant Anthem 2.9 2019 model. As you can see, it has the Sram XX1 11 speed. I have not updated to the 12 speed yet. For me here in Florida, that's all I need. So, and then up front here have my SRAM crank. It's actually a road crank that I modified to fit on mountain bikes. Check out my video on that. It has the Fox Float DPS rear shock with the lockout. It has open and close. And then on the front here you have the Fox 32 Stepcast with a lockout as well. The lockout lever, I love it. Love it, love it, love it. The wheel set is actually made by Light Bicycle rims, and then the hubs are some DT Swiss 240s. The brakes are actually some level ultimate calipers, you can see there, but I've mated them to some guide ultimate brake levers, which I know seems backwards, but I love the adjustability of the guide ultimate brakes, where you can adjust the pad contact. You can also adjust the lever reach on that as well. So the handlebars are some Ritchey trail handlebars with a generic giant stem, negative 15 degrees there. Seat post, I went with a Thomson Elite because that's what I had sitting around. That was 27.2 and also long enough. So, and then here I have the Shimano Pro Stealth saddle. The tires I like to run, I run a Thunderburt on the rear with snakeskin protection. On the front I run a Schwalbe Rocket Ron with the protection as well, snakeskin protection. My opinion, the snakeskin is definitely worth it with the Schwalbe tires. It really doesn't add a whole lot of weight, but you get that protection that you really need. This is a size large, and as you can see, it is the carbon model. And just as a little backstory of Giants, you know, started off with the Anthem 26-inch, and they developed that bike, and then as they went along, they eventually went with the Giant Anthem 2.9er, which was my very first full suspension 2.9er, which blew my mind with how fast a bike could go on rough conditions. So love that bike, but the geometry is very dated now. Before, the 2.9er had a crazy long chainstay, so it was like 18.2 inches, where now it's down to 17.2. But they had that first generation Anthem 2.9er. It really was a great bike for its time, but now we know that geometry was crap. Then Giant transitioned into a 27.5 thing that they went through, and everybody was like, what? You know, especially me being 6'1", I prefer 29-inch tires, and you know, when they really ditched all the 2.9ers, I was not happy about that at all, because I love the Giant platform, the Maestro platform, and so that was disappointing. And then finally, thank you, Giant. All right, in 2018 they finally released a new Giant Anthem 2.9er, and they did amazing with it. We got some bad storms coming in from the west, and it's supposed to hit tonight around like 7 p.m. So this afternoon I got out real quick on the bike just to hit some dirt roads around the house, see how it feels, get some initial thoughts on it. Delaney off at school, ran up to the convenience store, got me some coffee and some pretzels, and then I'm going to head out to the trails with the giant Anthem. Alright, made it to the trails. Now we're about to load up, take the bike off, check the pressure of the tires, and have a little fun.
Out there from the rain. Ready to climb. A little water. Oh, this bike's fun. So much fun.
Now this frame is pretty light. It's not crazy light, but it's pretty light. Mine came in at 5.4 pounds. That included the shock lever and cable. So it wasn't just, nothing on there. Also the clamp as well. So it was 5.4 pounds, which is a great weight. It's Boost 148 by 12 in the rear. And it has a Trunnion shock in the rear, which is a little bit different than they have done in the past. And with the Trunnion shock, I think that was a smart move on Giant's part. The head tube angle is a 69 degrees, so they slackened it up a bit. Not as slack as some extreme bikes. So the seat tube angles is 73.5, and some people may not like that, especially with the newer geometries getting up to like 75 and 76 degrees. But as far as with this bike, it does give you a nice location on the bike to really move your saddle around, and it has a round seat post. So if you wanted to go to that extreme, you could take a 25 millimeter setback seat post, flip it around, and obviously you move your saddle a lot further forward. So there's that option with the bike as well. So at least you have some options with a round seat post. Now, one word I would use to describe this bike, and that is playful.
Oh, it feels good out there. Oh, it feels playful. Oh, so playful. How you doing? Oh yeah. It's like you can just, it's like flicking it around. It's just awesome. Yeah. Oh, it does not feel like a race bike. I mean, it does. It's fast, super fast. But probably one of the most playful cross-country bikes I've ever ridden. Oh man, this is awesome.
All right, you know, it is a race rocket. It's super fast, and usually when people think of like cross-country bikes, they don't think fun. You know, they think that's going to be painful. I'm going to push through the pain and go as fast as I can. It's going to be rough. This bike kind of changes that. It's a bike that really you can go out and play on. I mean, you know, it jumps around, it flicks around really fast. The rear chain stays now are 17.2 inches long. In the past, they were 18.2 inches, so they dropped a whole inch off of the rear chainstay, which makes this bike way more lively than it was in the past. It's a fun bike to ride. Now, some reviews I have seen have talked about it being a little flexy. So as far as it being flexy, to me, it was, you know, it is a little bit of flex, but, you know, I kind of expect that with a bike like this. But it's not like the flex causes you to lose control of your bike. It really, in a way, reminds me of compliance more than just, you know, flex. Usually when I think of flex, I think of it like a fork just kind of, you know, bending and then shooting you offline and then you're wrecking in a tree or something. It doesn't do that. So you still feel very planted, quick, agile, move around. But the flex, you know, it is there, but it doesn't feel like it hinders you in any way as far as handling goes. And even like pedaling, you can't really tell much of a difference with the flex there. So, you know, some of the views being flexy, it's not a bad flex. I don't know if that's a good way of putting it, but yeah, so it's not a bad flex. Okay, so as far as the rear shock travel on this frame, it's 90 millimeters. And I remember when Giant first released this, I was kind of like, 90 millimeters, that doesn't sound good, especially in the past how I've ridden some bikes that have had an 80 millimeter travel, 90 millimeter travel, and they just didn't feel quite like they had enough travel. I mean, they had plenty of travel for their intended purposes of cross country, but you know, that was the one thing I was really worried about. Now, this bike with the small bump compliance, you know, I was really thinking like, oh great, it's got small bump compliance, and I ran the sag at 25%, and I didn't get through the whole travel of the stroke, and even at 25%, I felt like it was moving a lot, and I was thinking, oh, this is going to blow through the travel in no time. But never did I bottom out. So, you know, next time I may run about 30% sag, which is very soft for the small bumps, but it definitely stiffens up as it gets through the travel, and that's a really good thing. I think that has to do with that trunnion mounted shock with the stroke being a little longer. It allows them to do that with the frame. Now, in the past, I said I've ridden a bike that had 80 millimeter travel, and I've read reviews of those bikes, and they were like, oh, it feels like it has an amazing amount of travel, even if it's only 80, it feels like it has 100. I didn't really feel that way with those bikes. I felt like they were still limited at 80 millimeter travel, and I felt like they went through them too quickly. You know, the travel just boom, you blow through it. And with the Anthem, the 90 millimeter travel, if you rode that back to back with a 100 millimeter travel bike, I don't think you would feel a difference at all.
Tight turn. Oh shoot, that's awesome. That goes down that tight turn so quick. That was great. So if you got trails that are super tight, this bike will definitely get around them. It's awesome. That's awesome. Oh, it's so fun. So fun. Woo!
I will say with that small bump compliance, I felt like there was a little bit more pedal bob action because of the sag being set at that 25-30%. I felt like there's a little bit of pedal bob. Now on the trail, when it's rough and stuff, you couldn't tell at all. It was nothing. It was really just when I got on like a gravel road and it was a smooth section and I forgot to hit the lockout, I could just feel it kind of bob a little bit. And I think it has to do with that small bump compliance, allowing that to hit the bumps and everything. So a little bit more pedal bob than I expected from this bike, but it's not enough to be a deal breaker. Now the Lockout, I know many mountain bikers hate Lockouts. They're like, why even have them on a bike? I never use them. They just make the front end look all busy with the cables going everywhere and all that. So I hate them. Okay, so I can understand that, especially if you ride trails that are extremely rough and you don't have really many smooth sections, or if you don't ride your bike on gravel. Me, I love the Lockout option. I feel like you get two bikes in one. I feel like you have a full suspension bike you can hit the trails with, and then I feel like you can hit a switch, and then you got a full rigid, and you can ride gravel on it. Another thing too is I've actually gotten so used to it, I will use it almost as like a shifter. So if there's a section of trail that's smooth and it's getting to the next rough section, I'll lock out and just hit the power there and get to the next section. So I really like the Lockout, but it's not going to be for everybody. And like I said, if you're only using your bike to ride single track and you rough all the time, you don't need the Lockout. You can remove it. Now, the Fox Lockout on this DPS system is a 2-position lockout. It's backwards than most. Everybody's getting kind of used to it now because it's been out for a while. But you actually will push the lever in and that opens the suspension. All right, and then when you want to lock out, you release. So it's a little bit backwards than things in the past. So push in will open up, hit the lever, and that locks it out. Now, in the years past, Fox had that CTD, that trail or climb, trail, descend setting. That was horrible. There's like no difference in all the settings. So this one is just like I said, 2-position, and there's definitely a difference. You go from fully open, you hit the Lockout, and it goes to full rigid. Now, there is a little bit of play in the suspension, but you really can't feel it. It would actually, you probably could, mistaken it for some, flex in the tires or something like that. So, but yeah, pretty much a full Lockout with this rear and front fork. So I love that. Some people hate it, but I think it's awesome. Now, as far as the frame goes, it only takes one bottle, and some people will say that's a deal breaker, especially if you're wanting to do some long distance rides. But there are some options. There is a company that is called Line, that's L-Y-N-E. They're based out of South Africa, and they have made what is called the Holy Rail. And the Holy Rail is a brilliant system. It's very similar to the Wolftooth B-Rad system. The only difference is this system will actually, it has like a rail that you install, then it has kind of an L piece, and then you can attach another bottle right here, and when you attach the second bottle, it allows plenty of room for 2 bottles. And I've seen they've actually fit this on a medium, large, extra large. I have not seen it on a small yet, so I'm not sure if it can actually fit the small, but with Giant's taller top tube on the Anthem, it may be able to fit, I'm not sure. So if you know of anything or seen any pictures of that, definitely leave them down in the comments so we can check that out. So as far as the 2-bottle argument, there's a way to fix that, and that is Line Components out of South Africa. You can check out their website. I'll link it down below. And if you go to their website, they do ship to the United States and all over the world, so you can definitely get some awesome stuff from those guys. Now the seat post, this is where a lot of people may be upset, but their seat post is a 27.2. And you're thinking, wow, that's small for a mountain bike, but they have gone that because that's the intention of this bike, is a race bike. This is like a weight weenie dream come true, So with this frame, you got 27.2 round seat post, and what that does is it really limits you on your dropper post. There are more dropper posts now available in 27.2, so you can find something if you need to, if you really want that dropper post with it. It does come with a wedge style clamp, and that's on basically you access it from the top tube. So with that clamp there, it tightens it down very well. I don't think it causes any issues with dropper post. If it does, let me know in the comments below. So. Okay, so like I said before, this bike is so much fun, and playful is the best description I could give it. It's so much fun to ride, and if you want a bike that you can race on the weekend, and really have a lot of fun doing some cross-country races and pushing yourself and going blindingly fast, then you can get this bike. And then say during the week you want to just play around and, you know, ride it through some tight trails and do a couple small jumps or something like that. It feels amazing there. So, you know, as far as the bike goes, it's really got two personalities in a way, and it's up to what you want to do with it. Now, saying that, obviously it's limited as far as a trail bike with only 90 millimeter travel. So, you know, you could throw the Fox 34 120 millimeter fork on it and run that if you wanted to, slacken the head tube angle a little bit, and it would make it fun. It'd be that'd be amazing. Now, what bike really intrigues me as far as if you're looking at this and you're wanting a bike that can do both things, I would probably look at the Giant Trance 2.9er, the new one that's come out, because that one has 115 millimeter travel in the rear, all right, and it is paired up with a 130 millimeter travel fork. Now you could obviously throw on a 34 Stepcast, which is a 120 millimeter on the front, and yeah, it may steepen the head tube angle a little bit, but it's not going to be extreme. You know, it still feel pretty good. And that frame, the Trance 2.9er frame, large carbon, weighs 5.8 pounds. So you're really looking at only a, you know, almost half a pound gain going to the Trance, but you have so much more versatility with it. So, so it can be a bike you could have two forks. You know, basically you would run the Stepcast 34 if you're wanting to do some, you know, some kind of cross-country style races or endurance style races or events or anything like that. And then let's say you want to go to the mountains and have some fun on some rough trails, throw on a 130 millimeter fork or a 140 millimeter fork and just, you know, blast the downhills, you know. So that's really intriguing to me as far as like if you want a bike that really can do a lot, I would probably lean towards the Trance. But if you're looking for a race bike that can go fast, hit the gravel roads fast, I would look at the Anthem. And also if your trails are not too crazy, okay? So that's my opinion of the Anthem. If I could give it, you know, out of 10 stars, I would say it's a 9. All right, so absolutely amazing bike, super fast, super light, and most importantly, super fun.